Chapter 10 The Gift of Presence. We were speaking of awareness and splitting hairs as to its nature when suddenly we felt a jolt. We paid no attention to it and continued our conversation. A few seconds later, Krishnaji turned around and asked us what we were discussing. Awareness, we said, and immediately started asking him questions about it. He listened, looked at us quizzically, and then asked, "Did you notice what just happened?" "No. We knocked down a goat. Did you not see it?" "No." Then with great gravity he said, "And you were discussing awareness?" No more words were necessary. It was devastating. Popul Jayankar. It is easy to be mindful. What is difficult is to remember to be mindful. Thanisaro Bhikkhu. To be awake is to be alive. I have never yet met a man who was quite awake. Henry David Thoreau. Everything you need for your life and your practice are directly in front of you in the present moment. A Zen saying. There are two ways to wash the dishes. Thich Nhat Hanh once told a student. The first is to wash the dishes in order to have clean dishes. The second is to wash the dishes in order to wash the dishes. Mindfulness is the miracle by which we master and restore ourselves. It is the miracle which can call back in a flash our dispersed mind and restore it to wholeness so that we can live each minute of life, being wherever we are with all our mind. The gift of presence is the culminating gift in the sense that it facilitates the practice of all other gifts by reminding us to remain alert from moment to moment. Only when we are awake to our inner and outer reality can we ensure the observance of the gifts of pure motivation, gratitude, generosity, harmlessness, self-service, and total acceptance. Practices such as mindfulness and silence can bring about greater awareness in everything we do and enable us to share the gift of our presence. This chapter begins by presenting an overview of the essential elements of Buddhist psychology as a mental discipline, the Buddhist practice of mindfulness as it is found in the earliest Buddhist writings. This overview is followed by a detailed description of my recent experience with a form of Buddhist meditation called Vipassana. Right mindfulness, right concentration, and right effort constitute the Buddhist mental discipline. The mind is trained, disciplined, and developed through these three practices, which aim at cleansing the mind of impurities and disturbances, such as lustful desires, hatred, ill will, indolence, worries, and restlessness, skeptical doubts, and cultivating such qualities as concentration, awareness, intelligence, will, energy, the analytical faculty, confidence, joy, tranquility, leading finally to the attainment of the highest wisdom, which sees things as they are and realizes the ultimate truth, nirvana. How does Buddhist philosophy and psychology help us attain lasting happiness and fulfillment? As must be evident by now, Buddhism is more a way of life, a philosophy, than a religion in the traditional sense. It is a do-it-yourself psychology by way of to whom it may concern. The Buddhist viewpoint aims at achieving abiding happiness through mind training, development, and control, irrespective of our external circumstances. Through the wisdom of seeing things as they are, it helps us in the cultivation of unconditional loving kindness toward all existence. The best gift we human beings can give others is the gift of our presence, our attentive listening, our empathy, our kindness and compassion. This is possible only if we are truly present in all our engagements and interactions. A sign in Las Vegas says, "In order to win, you have to be present." Likewise, in order to be successful at the game of life, we have to be alertly present in everything we do. Being present requires the development of a specific faculty called self-awareness. Intrinsically, our being is of the nature of pure awareness, of the nature of wisdom seeking wisdom. Always available to all of us right here and right now, whenever and wherever we need it, if only we open ourselves to it unconditionally. If we observe our mind, we discover that it hops from past to future and from future to past endlessly. It rarely, if ever, dwells in the present. This phenomena can be called, half-jokingly, the law of elsewhere. Our mind always likes to be elsewhere. Interestingly, now is rightly called present. It truly is a gift from gods. As with other gifts of fulfillment, we must make a habit of this one by learning to be alertly present in the present moment, to be keenly attuned to the current reality. It is a strange realization that even past and future can only be experienced in the now, the eternal present moment. The ability to be in the present moment, from moment to moment, is the master key to enjoy small pleasures that life accords us unexpectedly. Most of the time, our mind is roaming elsewhere when we outwardly seem engaged in an activity. For example, when taking a shower or eating our breakfast, our mind may be worrying about a meeting that is not going to happen until later during the day. So, if we're thinking about our meeting while eating our breakfast, we are actually eating our meeting and not our breakfast. Perhaps that is why we have modern-day reminders such as live the moment or seize the day. The art of paying attention to attention. The opening story about mindless driving splendidly illustrates the importance and the resulting challenge of cultivating mindfulness in our life. In the same vein, a modern Zen story talks about a novice approaching a Zen master, inquiring about the most important thing in life, attention. Said the master. The student persisted. What is the second most important thing? Attention, replied the master. And the third thing? Asked the student. Attention, the master added firmly. Anything else? Continued the student. You do not seem to be paying attention, roared the master. The faculty of self-awareness has been prized by various wisdom and spiritual traditions. While Hindu, Sufi, Hasidic, and Christian traditions employ some form of awareness to attune to current reality, it is the Buddhist meditative tradition in which mindfulness has really played a key role in developing awareness of the present moment. Perhaps in no other tradition has mindfulness received such a comprehensive treatment as it has in the Buddhist doctrine and discipline, both in the ancient manuals and in the modern Buddhist writings. The term mindfulness has come to be used in a variety of ways and context in the modern times, starting as a meditation technique more than 2,500 years ago. Mindfulness has found its way in recent times into health clinics, prison houses, wellness centers, government offices, law firms, and corporate boardrooms. In its original Buddhist form, the practice of mindfulness refers to the technique of developing awareness of the body and the mind in the present moment. Underscoring the universal importance of mindfulness, Buddha observed, "Mindfulness, I declare, is helpful everywhere." Various other wisdom traditions of the world also underscore the importance of garnering a heightened sense of awareness of present reality by focusing on a chosen object with intense absorption, meditation, contemplation, concentration, remembrance, and recollection. For example, Sufi masters use a special form of meditation called zikr to develop yearning for the divine through constant remembrance and recollection. Christian desert fathers, likewise, used the royal art of the prayer of the heart to garner the knowledge of the divine. The Philokalia, a collection of texts written between the 4th and 15th centuries by masters of the Greek Orthodox tradition, speaks of the virtue of developing mental silence and inner attention in the service of the divine. In modern times, Russian mystics Gurdjieff and Ouspensky have placed special importance on self-remembering as a unique way to psychological self-evolvement, and Krishnamurti popularized the phrase choiceless awareness to denote a state of pure alertness where we are fully aware of the moment-to-moment reality as it is. Yet, our awareness is not focused on any particular physical or mental object. Samatha and Vipassana meditation. There are two main types of Buddhist meditation. Samatha meditation, which facilitates the development of serenity or calm, and Vipassana meditation, which facilitates the development of insight. Calm meditation aims to provide the mind an essential clarity to make it serene, stable, and strong, by preparing the mind to see the things as they really are. It serves as a necessary foundation for insight meditation. Together, calm meditation and insight meditation form the Buddhist path that leads to the realization of final awakening or enlightenment. Explaining the role and relationship of calm and insight meditation, Peter Harvey observed, "Calm meditation alone cannot lead to nibbana or nirvana, for while it can temporarily suspend and thus weaken attachment, hatred, and delusion, it cannot destroy them. Only insight combined with calm can do this. Calm tunes the mind, making it a more adequate instrument for knowledge and insight. Insight meditation is more analytical and probing than calm meditation, as it aims to investigate the nature of reality rather than remaining fixed on one apparently stable object. Buddhism believes the mind to be intrinsically pure, but sometimes it is stained or defiled by extrinsic impurities, such as greed, hatred, and delusion. The purpose of meditative practice is to expunge these adventitious impurities and to help restore the pristine purity of our natural mind, so that it can see things as they truly are. The practice of meditation, therefore, starts with stilling or calming the mind to enable it to attain a measure of serenity, and then turns it toward insight into reality. The practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness refers to a special form of awareness or presence of mind. Although we are always aware to some degree in a general way, this awareness rarely goes beyond the familiarity level to reach the mind's deeper layers. However, with the practice of mindfulness, normal awareness or attentiveness is applied with greater intensity and at a special pitch. Renowned Buddhist scholar-monk Bhikkhu Bodhi explains the practice of right mindfulness. The mind is deliberately kept at the level of bare attention, a detached observation of what is happening within us and around us in the present moment. In the practice of right mindfulness, the mind is trained to remain in the present, open, quiet, and alert, contemplating the present event. All judgments and interpretations have to be suspended, or, if they occur, just registered and dropped. To practice mindfulness is thus a matter not so much of doing, but of undoing. Not thinking, not judging, not associating, not planning, not imagining, not wishing. All these doings of ours are modes of interference, ways the mind manipulates experience and tries to establish its dominance. The most important and original discourse on the subject of meditation delivered by the Buddha is called Satipatthana Sutta, as it occurs in the collection of long discourses and in the collection of middle-length discourses. Right mindfulness also constitutes the sixth step in the Noble Eightfold Path, the Buddhist path to awakening, so much so that the Buddha regarded Satipatthana Sutta, the presence of mindfulness or attending with mindfulness, to be the direct path to realization. The Satipatthana Sutta, in Sanskrit Sutra, is divided into 4 sections that list 4 foundations of mindfulness, the 4 spheres in which to develop mindfulness. Number 1. Contemplation of the body through observing breathing. Number 2. Contemplation of the feelings through mindfulness. Number 3. Contemplation of the states of mind through observing different emotions. Number 4. Contemplation of the mental objects, especially the 4 noble truths. As is clear from the above classification, we start with the contemplation of the body, the first sphere of mindfulness, and move through contemplations of the next 3 spheres of the mind. We begin with the body because it is our most immediate experience and is most accessible to us. From the body, we proceed to the contemplation of feelings and note their emotive and ethical qualities. Then, we observe the mental states and objects, reflecting upon the 4 noble truths: the truth regarding the reality of suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering. It is important to keep in mind that although the Pali word sati originally meant memory or remembrance, in its general Buddhist usage, it mostly connotes a certain quality of attentiveness to or awareness of the present that the Buddhist doctrine specifies as good, wholesome, skillful, or right. It is not just bare attention referred to here. Rather, it is appropriate or wholesome attention, connoted by the Pali word yonisomaniskara. In Buddhism, the term mindfulness always implies right mindfulness. The adjective right connoting a state emanating from wholesome roots of mind, such as kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. In this sense, right mindfulness, samasati, forms the seventh factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. Mindfulness of breathing, anapanasati. All forms of samatha meditation start with an object or phrase to gain one-pointedness of mind. In most meditation traditions, breath is used as a choice object for concentration of the mind because it is closely linked to mind and it is always available to us. For example, in the Sufi and Greek Orthodox Church traditions, breath is employed as a primary vehicle to immerse the mind into the heart through a special prayer called Prayer of the Heart. Similarly, Patanjali, the famous author of Yoga Sutras, realized, like Buddha, that the breath had close connection with the mind, and that was the reason why excitement, anger, agitation, etc. led to short and irregular breathing. The meditation practice most respected by Buddhists is called mindfulness of breathing. Referring to its great importance, Bhikkhu Bodhi observed, by itself, mindfulness of breathing can lead to all the stages of the path, culminating in full awakening. In fact, it was this meditation subject that the Buddha used on the night of his own enlightenment. Accordingly, the practice of mindfulness of breathing is considered to be the supreme meditation in Buddhism to awaken the mind to its full potential. The basic Buddhist practice here is being mindful of our breathing. It is said that proper breathing is more important than food. Proper breathing holds a special place in the practice of yoga, as breathing provides the conscious connection between our body and our mind. It is common knowledge that when we are agitated, we breathe differently than when we are calm or relaxed. Our breath has a wonderful capacity to help us awaken to complete awareness. Getting the knack of mindfulness. Here is the basic practice of mindfulness of breathing. In the words of Rahula, breathe in and out as usual, without any effort or strain. Now, bring your mind on your breathing in and breathing out. Let your mind be aware and observe your breathing in and breathing out. Let your mind be aware and observe your breathing in and breathing out. Your mind should be so concentrated on your breathing that you are aware of its movements and changes. Forget all other things, your surroundings, your environment. Do not raise your eyes or look at anything. Try to do this for 5 or 10 minutes. After some practice, we are assured we develop a knack for being mindful so that we can extend this awareness to all spheres of our life. Whatever we happen to be doing at the moment, eating, washing dishes, walking, etc., we should try to become fully aware and mindful of the act we are performing at that moment. This is called living in the present moment or the present activity. The idea is to be fully present to one activity, since our mind can only completely handle one function at a time. When informed about the English expression of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, Suzuki Roshi said, "Our way is to kill just 1 bird with 1 stone." Nat Han, the modern Zen master, uses the term mindfulness to refer to keeping one's consciousness alive to the present reality. We must be conscious of each breath, each movement, every thought and feeling, everything which has any relation to ourselves. He further clarifies the miracle of mindfulness by providing these practical guidelines. Keep your attention focused on the work. Be alert and ready to handle ably and intelligently any situation which may arise. This is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the miracle by which we master and restore ourselves. It is the miracle which can call back in a flash our dispersed mind and restore it to wholeness, so that we can live each minute of life. How can we practice mindfulness? We may object. When modern life seems to be maddeningly hectic, and when so many activities clamor to claim our precious little time, Ajahn Chah, a renowned Thai meditation master, provides the perfect answer. If you have time to breathe, you have time to meditate. Insight meditation. As noted above, mindfulness of breathing occupies a prominent place in the practice of calm and insight meditation. Although each religious tradition has some form of serenity meditation as a part of its spiritual repertoire, the practice of insight meditation is the distinctive contribution of Buddhism to the spiritual heritage of humanity. Mindfulness of breathing is employed in both calm meditation and insight meditation, with a different purpose and emphasis. In calm meditation, the purpose of employing mindfulness is to gain a certain measure of clarity and serenity of mind through the power of concentration. However, in insight meditation, concentration achieved through mindfulness of breathing is employed in a more analytical manner to gain insight into the very nature of the phenomena, that is, seeing reality in the light of its 3 signs of existence, namely impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and not self. In sum, insight meditation is practiced to gain direct insight into the very nature of ultimate reality. What is the benefit of gaining this insight into the real nature of things? What does a person gain through this hard-won understanding? In 2 words, spiritual freedom. That is, freedom from dependence and clinging. In the words of the recurring refrain of Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha states it thusly: he lives independent, clinging to nothing in the world. Vipassana meditation, my recent experience. I had the blessed opportunity to participate twice in a 10-day Vipassana meditation course during July 16 to July 27, 2008 at North Fork, California, and during December 20 to December 31, 2009 at the Northern California Vipassana Center. It was a life-transforming experience in the most complete sense of the word, as if the Buddha's teachings came vividly alive after 2,600 years. The daily schedule of Vipassana meditation course was as follows: 4 a.m. morning wake-up bell, 4:30 to 6:30 a.m. meditation in the hall or in your room, 6:30 to 8 a.m. breakfast break, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. group meditation in the hall, 9 to 11 a.m. meditation in hall or in your room, 11 to 12 noon lunch break, 12 to 1 p.m. rest and interviews with the teacher, 1 to 2:30 p.m. meditation in hall or in your room, 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. group meditation in the hall, 3:30 to 5 p.m. meditation in the hall or your room, 5 to 6 p.m. tea break, 6 to 7 p.m. group meditation in the hall, 7 to 8:15 p.m. discourse, 8:15 to 9 p.m. group meditation in the hall, 9 to 9:30 p.m. question time in the hall, 9:30 p.m. retire to your room, lights out. The following pages present a synopsis of my recollection of this wonderful experience. I have made a sincere attempt to convey the essence of meditation instructions imparted during the course as clearly and as faithfully as possible. The description that follows is offered only with a view to share what the reader could expect during such a course. Ideally, interested spiritual aspirants would attend the course themselves, as there is really no substitute for learning the Vipassana meditative practice firsthand. Day 1. Develop awareness of the process of respiration, focusing only on the spot where the breath enters and leaves the nostrils. Concentrate on the triangular area starting from the base of the nostrils and covering air passages of the nostrils. Observe incoming and outgoing breath naturally and purely. Why use breath as an object? Breath is neutral and non-sectarian. Everybody breathes and breathes all the time, whether awake, sleeping, sitting, walking, standing, and so on. Most importantly, breathing takes place only in the present, in the now. So, to bring our mind back to the present, focusing on breathing is the most natural and effective way. Watch the breath entering the nostrils. Feel the touch and be aware of it within the triangular area. Breathe normally and naturally. The Buddha's instructions are: the mediator should breathe naturally, without attempting to change the length or depth of the breath. If the breath is short, the mediator should simply observe that the breath is short. If the breath is long, the mediator should simply observe that the breath is long. Note that it is not about controlling or regulating the breath, as in the case of pranayam. Pranayam is a yogic practice in which breath is regulated to control the mind. Just be aware of the bare breath in its most natural, pure state. Observe, notice, and be aware if it is passing through the left nostril or the right nostril, or at times passing through both nostrils. That's all. Feel distinctively at what point the breath touches the area above the upper lip, or the outer rings of the nostrils, or inside the air passages or inner walls of the nostrils. Day 2. Continue with the awareness of breath entering the triangular area. Additionally, try to feel the touch, the point where the incoming or outgoing breath touches anywhere within the triangular area. Try harder to feel it. The touch is always there. We're just not aware of it. If you still cannot feel the touch, try breathing a little harder than normal. You are bound to feel it. Day 3. Continue with the awareness of the touch of the breath. Additionally, be aware of any sensations that you may experience within this triangular area. Some examples of sensations are tingling, pulsating, vibrating, heat, cold, perspiration, heaviness, lightness, contraction, expansion, prickling, numbness, pain, pressure, itching, hardness, softness, and so on. Do not try to look for any specific sensations. Just be naturally aware of any sensations if and when they crop up in this area. Day 4. Reduce the triangular area of your focus to the moustache line, the area below the nostrils and above the upper lip. First, try to feel, to be aware of the touch of air, and then feel and be aware of any sensations in this small area. The smaller area will sharpen your focus. The smaller the area, the sharper the focus. The idea is to improve the concentration and to make it the sharpest. You need the sharpest concentration to dissect and scan the subtle, deeper layers of your mind. This and the prior exercises will prepare the mind for samadhi, the state of meditative absorption. Day 5. Vipassana means seeing things as they really are. It is a process of self-purification by self-observation. One begins by observing the natural breath to concentrate the mind. With sharpened awareness, one proceeds to observing the changing nature of body and mind and experiences the universal truths of impermanence, suffering, and egolessness. This truth realization by direct experience is the process of self-purification. Vipassana technique. With sharpened focus and concentration, Vipassana technique is pursued after practicing Anapana meditation or mindfulness of breathing. Vipassana means insight into reality. It is a technique whereby one scans the entire body, from head to toe and from toe to head, with razor-sharp awareness, looking for any and every sensation experienced anywhere on the body. Start with scanning the scalp. Move down to the face, part by part, piece by piece. Then move your attention through the right shoulder, upper arm, elbow, forearm, wrist, palm, fingers, and fingertips. Likewise, move your attention through the left shoulder down to the fingertips. Then scan the throat area, upper chest and abdomen area, then the neck, upper back to lower back, then the right thigh, knee, leg, foot and toes, then likewise the left thigh, knee, leg, foot and toes. Every part of our body has changing sensations at all times. We are just not aware of them yet. If you cannot feel any sensations in any part of the body, spend a minute or two on that part by concentrating on your natural sensations. Observe and just be aware of your sensations. Do not choose for the pleasant sensations and do not try to avoid the unpleasant sensations. This is the habitual pattern of mind that we are trying to change at the deepest level. While moving through the entire body like this, be aware of anicca, the law of impermanence. Every sensation is arising and passing away, changing and changing again. Nothing is constant, even for a few seconds. Observe with a balanced and equanimous mind an objective mind, a mind that is balanced and observes reality as it is. Become aware at the deepest level of this universal law of change, working with your body and mind. This is what the Enlightened One found out. And when you would have experienced and know it through the experience of your own body and mind, you would have experienced the truth of the first turning of the wheel of dharma. This is what Buddha called Bhavana Maya Panya, wisdom based on experience of insight meditation, or wisdom based on direct personal experience. According to S.N. Goenka, Vipassana is about two things: awareness and equanimity. It is about changing from Vedana Pakkaya Tanha to Vedana Pakkaya Panaya, from sensations leading to craving to sensations leading to wisdom. Our habit pattern at the very deepest level is the automatic generation of sangharas by reacting through craving and clinging if the sensations are pleasant, and through aversion and anger if the sensations are unpleasant. An awakened, equanimous mind understands that every formation is impermanent. Sabbe sangharas anicca. In other words, it understands the universal law of impermanence. Hence, it does not react, as usual, to sensations by developing craving or aversion. By helping us become constantly aware and equanimous about our sensations, moment to moment, Vipassana cuts at the very root, that is, at the sensation level. The evening discourse on the 5th day by Goenka-ji was wonderful. I felt that this man's every word is worth its weight in gold. While explaining 12 links of dependent co-arising, Goenka-ji commented that, from this point, the point of Vedana sensations, onward, there are basically two paths. One path leading to samsara or bhava sansara, and the other leading to nirvana, the path of liberation born out of wisdom generated by insight meditation. If we keep on reacting to sensations with craving and aversion, we will keep on adding to our cyclic misery. However, through Vipassana, we develop a faculty of constant awareness and understanding of the universal law of impermanence. That sensations are not eternal, but arise and pass away. This awareness and understanding allows us to respond to sensations with equanimity. By not reacting to craving and aversion, we cut at the very root of the problem. This is what Buddha was referring to, the house builder, that is, craving. That has been recognized. At the sensations level, no more new sankharas are created by reacting with craving and aversion to pleasant and unpleasant sensations respectively, and the old sankharas have been purified. So, no more rebirth. The nirvanic peace of being liberated from craving and clinging has been achieved. There are 3 basic attachments to be aware of: the attachment to I, the attachment to mine, and the attachment to my beliefs or my views. The greater the attachment, the greater the misery at the time of separation. Days 6 and 7, continuing with Vipassana meditation. The 6th day continued with moving our awareness throughout our body, from the top of the head to the tip of the toes, and from the tip of the toes to the top of the head, with a calm, equanimous mind noticing any and every sensation, always remembering the nature of every sensation. It arises, it passes away, not reacting to pleasant sensations with craving and to unpleasant sensations with aversion, and thus not generating any new sankharas. When we do this, no new sankharas are made. It is the law of nature that the old sankharas that lie very deep in our mind get eradicated through this mind-purifying process. Through the practice of Vipassana, sensations do not generate craving or aversion, but generate the panya, that is, the wisdom born out of insight into the nature of reality. Reality that is changing all the time and whose very nature is impermanence. The whole idea of Vipassana is to change the habit pattern of mind that automatically reacts with craving to pleasant sensations and with aversion to unpleasant sensations. By experiencing the truth of impermanence within one's body, through Vipassana, one sees through the madness and is able to stop this automatic response mechanism at the deepest level of the mind. Learn to work with a calm and quiet mind, alert and attentive mind, equanimous and balanced mind. Learn to work objectively with your sensations without identifying with the pleasant ones with craving and unpleasant ones with aversion. Remember the nature of all sensations, whether solidified, gross or subtle. They arise and pass away. So, observe them objectively, without the feeling of I, my and mine. Remember anicca, impermanence, the changing nature of phenomena, and work diligently to experience this truth within your body-mind complex. If you do not identify with pleasant sensations with craving and unpleasant sensation with aversion, you do not generate any new sankharas, and working objectively without a sense of I, my and mine, the old ones get eradicated automatically. This is a law. Move your attention from head to toe and from toe to head. Top of the head to abdomen area, back of the head to the lower back. Both shoulders down to the fingertips of both hands. Hips or thighs to the toes of both feet and back up. Instructions for areas that are blank, that is, areas where no sensation is felt, move your attention slowly, part by part, piece by piece. If you experience vibration-like subtle sensations through entire portions of the body, you will be able to sweep or mass through areas that are experiencing subtle sensations. After 2 or 3 such sweeps, go back to blind areas or blank areas where sensations were very hazy. If you continue like this, you will soon experience subtle sensations throughout the body. But do not crave for subtle sensations. Work patiently but persistently. You are bound to succeed. You are bound to succeed. Remember, in this essenceless, substanceless, ephemeral mind-matter phenomena, there is nothing that is permanent. There is nothing that is not changing. This sensation or that sensation does not make any difference. All sensations have the same characteristic of arising and passing away, of anicca. So, what's the use of reacting with craving to something that is temporarily pleasant and with aversion to something that is temporarily unpleasant? With this understanding, always maintain equanimity. This way, you will not generate new sankharas. No sankharas means no misery. This is liberation. And this is the purpose of insight meditation. The equanimity is the wisdom of not reacting through craving and aversion to pleasant and unpleasant sensations, but remaining equanimous. It is the insight that is developed through vipassana by being aware of one's breath and sensations all the time. By remaining equanimous, one does not generate new sankharas. And when one does not generate new sankharas, then the old sankharas start coming to the surface. Through observation and remaining aware, one eradicates them slowly and slowly until they are fully wiped out. This is the nirvana Buddha talked about. Nirvana of total extinction. Always be aware of your breath or your sensations. In whatever you're doing, sitting, standing, walking, working, or sleeping. Always be aware of your breath or sensations. This is Buddha's unique contribution to help sentient beings to come out of dukkha, to come out of deep misery. Everything else he taught was already present in the then prevalent teachings of India. By developing awareness of our breath and sensations, we start living in the present, because breath and sensations can only happen in the present. This is the Dhamma he taught for 45 years. The Dhamma that is good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end. Adi Kalyankari, Madhya Kalyankari, and Antah Kalyankari. Day 8. The wonderful teaching of Dhamma continues. Recorded instructions by Sri S. N. Goenka and Vipassana teachers. Your progress on the path of Vipassana is measured by only one yardstick: the degree of equanimity you have developed, the mental equilibrium, the equipoise. Always remember that every experience, however pleasant or unpleasant at the moment, is impermanent. So, by not reacting blindly to sensations, one does not generate new sankharas. Fewer sankharas, less misery. No sankharas, no misery. An important note: the whole purpose of moving attention throughout the body and observing different sensations is to develop one's awareness and to train one's mind to always remain equanimous toward our experience by remembering the law of impermanence. With the mind deeply established in equanimity, whenever deep-seated old sankaras come to the surface during meditations, they are eradicated. Thus, pleasant sankaras do not result in craving and unpleasant sankaras do not result in aversion. The alchemy of purification of mind through Vipassana meditation. This is the alchemy of purifying the mind. No new sankaras are generated, and accumulated old sankaras get eradicated through Vipassana. Although it is clear that when we respond with equanimity to our pleasant as well as unpleasant sensations, we do not develop any craving or aversion toward them. Hence, no new sankaras means no new misery. But how does Vipassana help to eradicate old sankaras? This requires some further explanation. When we are equanimously observing our sensations in Vipassana meditation, especially when we get to the point where we can sweep our attention with a free flow up and down throughout our body, we come across areas where we may have coarse or solidified sensations. Generally speaking, one is able to do a quick sweep when one is experiencing subtle sensations. And for the areas that are blank or blind, where one is feeling coarse sensations, one has to go back and work on them, part by part, piece by piece. Now, it is the old habitual pattern of mind to react with aversion to gross or coarse unpleasant sensations, and to react with craving to subtle, pleasant sensations. If we keep an equanimous mind, we counter mind's habitual pattern and thereby disempower its habit of reacting blindly. Our old sankharas sit as latent psychological tendencies at the deepest level of our mind. During Vipassana meditation, the latent mental tendencies born out of accumulated past sankharas come to the surface. By observing them with equanimous mind and not reacting to them, we do not give them the opportunity to re-establish themselves, and hence they are eradicated at the root level. It is not uncommon during Vipassana meditation for some past experiences buried deep into our subconscious mind to resurface. If the experience had been pleasant and resurfaces again as a pleasant sensation, generating a craving for reliving it, then the grooves of sankharas deepen. Vipassana meditation teaches us to remain equanimous in wake of such sensations, in order to eradicate these old, deep-seated sankharas. Success on the path of Vipassana meditation does not depend upon experiencing this sensation or that sensation. Vipassana teaches us that all sensations, pleasant or unpleasant, are of the nature of arising and passing away. Hence, they are impermanent. What is important is to keep an equanimous mind, a balanced mind. During his Dhamma discourse, on the 8th day, Sri Goenkaji summed up the Vipassana technique with a bird analogy. Just as a bird has two wings, likewise the two wings of the bird of Vipassana are awareness and equanimity. To explain how deep-seated old sankharas come to the surface, when you stop making new sankharas, Goenkaji gave the example of burning of a pile of firewood. On a pile of burning firewood, if we add new pieces of wood on the top, the new ones will start burning first. But if we stop adding the new pieces of wood to the fire, then the old ones have to burn themselves up. Another example Goenkaji gave was of fasting. If you fast one day and then fast the second day, and still another day, that is, when you stop putting new food in the body starts using what it has stored in the past. Goenkaji also made a categorical statement. Sensations are always in contact with the deepest level of the mind. By not reacting with craving or aversion, we purify our mind at the deepest level. Day 9. The most detailed instructions on the path of Vipassana meditation. The morning meditation instructions on the 9th day were the most detailed and profound. The instructions mentioned 3 types of experiences pertaining to sensations. On the path of Vipassana meditation, the meditator experiences: number 1. Coarse, gross, solidified sensations denoted by hazy or blind areas. Number 2. Some areas with gross sensations and some with subtle sensations. Number 3. Subtle sensations. If you are feeling subtle sensations, then sweep your attention en masse 2 to 3 times with a free flow sweep, from head to toe and from toe to head. Go back and survey, part by part, the areas that were left out during the free flow sweep. Make sure that you do not leave out any areas, even a tiny part of the body, without scanning for sensations. If you feel solidified, gross, blank, hazy or misty areas, do not feel discouraged. Use them as tools to uncover your hidden sankaras of craving and aversion accumulated over countless lifetimes. With practice, observing these areas patiently and objectively, you will find them becoming full of subtle sensations. Collapse of the entire physical structure as we know it. From time to time, now or in future, you may experience a flow of very subtle sensations throughout your body. You will feel that the entire structure of physical body is nothing but a field of subtle vibrations, wavelets of ripples of energy vibrating, like electric current, at the speed of light. There is nothing solid, so to speak, in the entire physical structure of your body. Only a whirling dance of these subatomic particles, tiny kalpas. At that time, you may experience that the entire physical structure collapses into a field of vibrations. There is nothing solid in this constantly changing field of vibrations, nothing substantial or permanent. This is Bhanga Jnana, the wisdom or jnana of dissolution or bhanga. This is when you experience 2 important aspects of reality according to Buddhism: anicca and anatta, impermanence and no self. Basically, Vipassana meditation has 4 progressive steps. The first 3 steps basically involve scanning the external part of the body, the skin area, moving the attention during these 3 steps vertically, up and down. The 4th step is an internal scan. Number 1. Slow scan. Moving attention slowly from the top of the head to the tip of the toes and back, part by part, piece by piece. Number 2. Free flow sweep. Sweeping attention freely, en masse, upward and downward where subtle sensations are experienced. Then, going back to observe those areas that have solidified coarse sensations, or the areas that were initially left blank. Number 3. Spot check. Being able to quickly take your attention to any fingertip-sized spot and move back and forth. Try only 4 or 5 spot checks and then go back to normal scan and sweep. Number 4. Penetrate and pierce. Scanning internally, moving attention inside the body areas, left to right and then right to left, front to back and then back to front. This is a highly advanced technique, reserved for advanced level practitioners who work under the close guidance of an experienced teacher during 20 to 90-day meditation retreats. In the practice of all of these techniques, the meditator is reminded of the universal law of impermanence, to always maintain perfect equanimity and not to generate new sankharas by reacting with craving or aversion to pleasant or unpleasant sensations. It is the old habit of our unconscious mind to react with craving to pleasant sensations or with aversion to unpleasant sensations. After all, sankhara is reacting mind. If we react to unpleasant sensations as we sweep or scan, we not only create new sankharas but also multiply the effects of the old sankharas of aversion, which means multiplying our misery. However, when we remain equanimous, understanding the wisdom of impermanence, not only do we create any new sankharas of aversion, we also dissolve or help eradicate the accumulated old sankharas. The same applies to responding with equanimity to pleasant sensations. Remember, sensations are in contact with the deepest level of our mind always. This is the insight into wisdom that the Buddha taught, the wisdom of upekha, the wisdom of equanimity. And this is the culmination of the path of insight meditation. Day 10. Metta Meditation, Loving Kindness. Metta is a Pali word that means loving kindness. The last day of the Vipassana meditation course is devoted to practicing Metta meditation, which involves filling the mind and body with thoughts and feelings of goodwill for all beings. The practice begins with cultivating a deep sense of loving kindness toward oneself and then extending it toward one's loved ones, friends, teachers, strangers, enemies, and finally toward all beings. Metta meditation serves as a great antidote to the feeling of anger and contention. The whole atmosphere is filled with sharing the feeling of joy and goodwill with the whole of creation, a befitting grand finale to 9 days of intense meditation. Concluding remarks. It has been said that the order or confusion of society corresponds to and follows the order or confusion of individual minds. Our modern civilization, which excels in manufacturing irrelevances, to use Huxley's phrase, has splendidly managed to shorten our attention span through myriad trivial pursuits geared toward instant gratification. In this age of continuous partial attention, mindfulness has a great role to play in developing clarity through attentiveness and in sharpening the power of concentration by ensuring immunity from distraction and illusion. The practice of mindfulness accords greater value and presence to the activity at hand and thereby enhances our performance of the task and the resultant fulfillment. When we carry out all activities in our usual daily life with mindfulness, with conscious presence, then every task becomes special. Every act becomes a rite and a ceremony. And our whole life becomes a wondrous celebration. If we practice the art of mindful living, when things change, we won't have any regrets, says Thich Nhat Hanh. We can smile because we have done our best to enjoy every moment of our life and to make others happy. And in making others happy, moment to moment, we discover the true secret to our happiness. Mindfulness has tremendous potential in enhancing workplace well-being through improved communications, efficient meetings, optimum performance, better decisions, and greater understanding. If change within is a prerequisite to a change without, then mindfulness accords the best place to begin the journey of inner transformation, personally and professionally. It is said that the proof of the pudding is in eating it. In the ultimate analysis, one can only determine the efficacy of the practice of mindfulness by practicing it diligently. Ehipassiko said the Buddha, "Come and see for yourself," putting the world into place. Every night, when a certain man came home from work, his little boy would run and jump up into his arms and ask, "Daddy, will you play with me? Will you, Daddy? Will you?" And almost every night, this man played with his son, sharing games and books and toys and talk. But one night, the father was very tired. So, instead of rushing to play with his son, he sat down in his chair, opened his newspaper, and began to read. As on every other night, his son asked, "Daddy, will you play with me?" But on this night, the father replied, "Oh, not tonight. I'm just too tired." The little boy kept asking, but the father's reply did not change. Finally, to keep his son occupied, and frankly, to get a little peace and quiet, the father took a whole page out of his newspaper. Printed on the page was a map of the world. He took a scissors and cut the map into many small pieces and said to his son, "Here is a puzzle of a map of the world. Why don't you go into your room and put the puzzle together?" The father thought that the son would be gone for a long time. But the boy was back in just a few minutes. The father was amazed. He said, "How did you finish the puzzle so quickly? The map of the world is so large and complicated. How did you put it together so soon?" And the little boy replied, "It was easy. You see, on the back of the picture of the world was a picture of a man. I just put the man together and the world fell right into place."